Hello, everybody. Yeah, you get a look at my ugly face again tonight. This is the old bear with the old bear's den of Bigfoot. And tonight's story is from the early 1900s here in the great state, wild and wonderful West Virginia. Um, this happened on a trout stream. It's a traditional trout stream in the state of West Virginia. It's really locally well known, and it is uh, visited by out of state people every year that fish it. Anyway, this the area where this happened is near a town called Richwood, West Virginia, and the story, like I said, it's from the early 1900s, before the First World War. There was a husband and wife and 8 children. Yes, it was a big family. Uh, in the story, it starts out with, them living there quite a few years, never having any trouble, never heard anything, never had any reason to worry about anything, and no trouble went on. Never heard any howls or never had tree breaks. They hunted on their land. Uh, the man worked, uh, had a garden at their house. Nothing was ever stolen except for whatever few deer there were. Um, and it's near a traditional bear county, and here in West Virginia, and never had any trouble. So what happened is one summer night during the month of August, the kids were all out in the front yard playing, and mom and dad sitting on the porch, and you know, sitting in a swing or in a rocker, and as they were sitting there with their kids playing, the two oldest boys were down next to this river, fork of the river, and as they were sitting there, they heard the two boys scream, and couldn't hear anything else over the river. They just heard the boys scream because they were close. So the boys come running up to the house, and as the two oldest boys come running up, one's 13 years old, the other one's probably 12. They grab the oldest one grabs his little sister, and the other ones are running them up to the porch. And as they run up to the porch, you know, the rest of the kids go running in the house because big brothers are telling them run, 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 run. Once the other kids get in the house, mom goes in, and dad's got the two oldest boys out there questioning them what's going on. And he walks down in the yard with the boys, and he finally hears what's going on, what the boys heard. They hear a big howl. And then they hear another howl coming from behind the house. Well, this worries the dad because when he was a little boy, his daddy told him that the wood people live in the woods. They come out at night and roam around. Should always be in before it gets dark. Well, anyway, Dad shoos the boys towards the house, goes in and grabs his rifle. When he comes back out, they hear a big splash in the river, and this thing howls again, and then all of a sudden the ones that are across the river are all howling and raising three kinds of cane, and then the ones in behind the house, or there's another big howl from behind the house, and then there's a bunch of howls from behind the house, and it's like the world's going to end. So what happens is he goes in, tells his wife to get the guns, and they shutter the windows and close the house up and lock the doors and put stuff in front of the doors and in the windows and everything, and got the oldest kids with guns, and he's got his wife with a shotgun, and he's got his rifle and everything else. And they hear these things come together at the far end of the house, and then they hear uh, fists being thrown. It was said you could hear through the house. You could hear the blows vibrate through the house. Well, at this point, they're all scared. I would have been too, if I'd have been little. Um, but evidently, these two clans came together and started fighting. I don't know what the fight was about, so don't ask. Could have been over territory, could have been over hunting grounds, it could have been any number of things with these things. So what happened is they fought for like 30 minutes to an hour out there, and uh, Dad goes out on the front porch after all the noise ends, and he says he can hear uh, the Bigfoots dragging their fallen comrades, or whatever you want to call them, back to their respective parts of the hill of the valley. And nothing happened for a few nights, couple of nights. Now this story was told to me from the youngest boy of the 8 kids, and at the time he's probably 6. And this was told to me quite a few years ago. And at the time, he was probably 80, 82 or 83, maybe 89. I think he was 89, because he told me his age the first time, and he said 83, and then he told me that he was 89. So I would say he's probably 89 this time. He was trying to make his age not to be so bad. But he's an old man, and I'd spoken to some of his kids, and they confirmed that Dad has been telling this story ever since they were born. So take it for what it is, guys, and ladies. And like I said, 2 or 3 nights later, they hear the big males screaming, and Dad lights. He built a bonfire out in the front yard and one in the backyard. He went and lit the one in the front yard, and then went out there and took a lantern and busted it that was lit. It had oil in it, and he lit the back one. And finally, the howls get real close to the house, and they board the house up again. And kids have got guns, and the little ones are in the cellar, in the house, and they're in a safe little place underneath the house that was built. And Dad and Mom are at the front of the house, and they're watching out front, and they see these 2 Bigfoot come together out near the bonfire, and said that they were just huge Bigfoot. They were probably 10 to 12 feet tall apiece. They were just big bodied, big shouldered, um, huge arms, huge legs. And they started going to fighting and going to blows and everything else. And after about 15 minutes or so, these 2 big things break apart. And they separate, and one stands on one side of the fire, and the other stands on the other side of the fire, and they're not scared of it. Dad walks on the front porch with his rifle, and I guess he made some noise when he was coming out the door, and these 2 Bigfoot stand there and start looking at him and start growling at him. Well, Dad takes that as a threat, shoots the rifle, and these 2 Bigfoot take off. They disappear. One runs to the woods, and he can hear it going up the mountainside behind the house, and the other one's running towards the river and guesses that it went across the river and up on the hill. Well, anyway, Dad goes out and starts asking family, people down the holler from him, and some of them are distant relations, and I guess the word goes out to the family of what's going on, and well, a couple of days go by, and family members that you don't talk about start showing up. You know what I mean? The moonshiners, the ones that uh, do the things that you shouldn't be doing and don't, and they run uh, clandestine gambling stuff, and they show up with guns and food for the family and everything that's going on, and finally they get, the family's there, and they're there first night, and they don't have any trouble. Second night happens, and one of the part of the family, the one of the one that they called the quietest member in the family in the woods, lets out a war whoop, to let everybody know what's going on, that these things are coming in, and everybody that's got a gun and is able-bodied goes outside, and they light fires all around the yards. The front and backyard is pretty well lit up with fires, and these people are all ready to defend the home, and these Bigfoot keep coming and coming and get down there, and they get down near the fires, and they're throwing rocks and stuff and trying to knock the fires out, and the ones that are across the river, they're raising three kinds of heck. They're screaming, hollering, and they're coming across the river, and they get out there in the front yard and the backyard, and they some of the young ones, I guess, the younger males, they start running towards the house, and well, family cuts down on them. All the crack shots in the family are taking shots at these things, and they're stopping them, and they're dropping them. Uh, this goes on for probably 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes. Gunshot after gunshot, Bigfoot after Bigfoot screaming and hollering and dragging itself off, or they're laying there dead. They settled the issue. That's the way it was done back then. That's the way it should be done today. You start something, somebody's going to finish it for you. Um, Families should come together when there's trouble like that. Families don't do that nowadays. I wish people knew what it was to have a family like that. I got a family like that. Something goes wrong, this family comes together. Um, so you know, most of the women go in the house, and they're in there making coffee. They're figuring these things are going to come back. The rest of the clans are going to come down and start raising all kinds of heck. And around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, they said that the big females come across the river with all the females and the young, and they come in and start dragging the ones out that are still alive, and then they come back and grab the ones that are dead, and they drag them off, and they just let them take their dead, take their wounded. It's the way you did it. Once you stop a situation, you let them take their wounded and their dead off, and let them do whatever they want to with them. You don't, you didn't kill the female. Um, it was part of honor and respect, which no one seems to have today. Wish they did. Anyway, that will conclude the story for tonight. I know it's kind of rushed. but it ain't very long of a story, and it's from a long time ago, but I hope each and every one of you enjoy it, and we're going to have an announcement here probably on the next video. About maybe some window decals. If you're interested, uh, get in touch with me, and I'll premiere the window decal probably uh, not the next video, but we'll have the announcement about it on the next video. And then next week's video is going to be coming out late next week. Probably not until Saturday of next week. We have some things coming up. Hope each and every one of you keep listening. And the next video will probably be out Friday night or Saturday. And it'll have the announcement. We hope you enjoy it. And stay tuned and keep listening, guys. We will see you on the next one. Thank you now. Bye-bye.